You're trying to introduce a new technology system, a new reorganisation structure. You're trying to develop a new product. You want to introduce some new human resource management policies and practices. You're a change leader. What does it take to be a terrific change leader these days? What does it take to be successful? I think we need to recognise that the job of change leader has become much more challenging in recent years. Competitive pressures, geopolitical trends, demographic trends, new technologies and materials, stricter regulatory regimes, shorter innovation cycles. Change is now much more multifaceted than it ever has been, and it's considerably more complex. That means that most organisations experience what we call multi-loading, trying to run several initiatives which may be competing with each other all at the same time. How does the change agent cope successfully with that kind of complex, multi-loaded environment? By multi-loading, I just simply mean trying to run several different and possibly competing change initiatives at the same time, and that can be a problem. So what does it take to be a successful change leader in those kinds of circumstances? In addition to traditional project management skills and capabilities, I think change leaders now have to pay particular attention to three key sets of issues. The first is managing the agenda, the second is managing the team, and the third is managing the politics. By managing the agenda, let's come back to multi-loading. You have a number of competing change initiatives running at the same time. Transformational change has become fashionable. That's what consulting organisations want to sell you. But clearly, sweating the small stuff, fixing the small, annoying problems that nobody really bothers to pay any attention to, that also can have benefits to the business, its customers and staff. But if you fix the small stuff, you can also create a platform for more significant change implementation, transformational change in future. So managing the agenda is in part about looking at the overall portfolio of change initiatives and balancing the small stuff with transformational initiatives. You can't run transformational initiatives all the time. A second issue is the acceleration trap. Accelerating change has also become fashionable, but beware, if you accelerate change, you don't give people enough time to adjust, you don't give people time to learn, and that has implications not only for the success of change, but also for its sustainability. Drive change too rapidly and it will decay. Sustainability must be built in from the very start. Just on managing the agenda and multi-loading, finally, I should mention the hospital change leader that I was working with recently, who said, "It feels to me like I've been in a washing machine on fast spin for the past 3 years." That, I think, is a typical experience as far as I'm aware. The second theme is managing the team. We're in a post-heroic leadership era. Managing change, managing complex change, dealing with multi-loading, implementing change is now a team effort. You can't do this on your own. So we're talking about distributed leadership, shared leadership. It's necessary for the change leader to distribute the responsibility. And for some of us that can be difficult. We want to take personal charge and personal benefit. But distributing the responsibility is necessary in the kind of organisational context that we're living with, and that means also sharing the prizes. But look, there are enough prizes to go around, it's not a problem. The third theme, I think, is managing the politics. Management is a contact sport, and organisations are political systems, and change is a politicised process. Why? Because there are going to be winners and very often losers as well. As a change leader, you can't escape the organisation politics. If you're trying to change something significant in your organisation and you're not willing and able to engage with the organisation politics, my prediction is that you'll fail sooner or later, and probably sooner. You need to be able to manage the organisation politics. And dealing with the politics is often difficult, it's time-consuming, it can be emotionally wearing. Change leaders have to be resilient, develop your bounce-back ability. Final point I'll make is that the textbooks talk about 4 or 5 power bases of power: referent power, expert power, charisma, coercive power. I've discovered another power base, which I call staying power. A lot of change agents, a lot of change leaders, when they're successful, they use that success to move on to another role, to another organisation. But if you do that, you lose your staying power. If you stick around, you develop your networks, you develop relationships, and that gives you more power and influence to drive further change. So develop your staying power, stick with it, and implement more change. In conclusion, the three key areas of capability that the successful change leader has to pay attention to concern, first, managing the agenda, second, managing your team, and third, managing the politics. Final word of advice: change leadership can be demanding, it can be challenging, but for you, the individual, it can also be exceptionally rewarding and developmental. If you're driving strategic change, you develop an understanding of your organisation, its strategy, its business, its place in the environment, much better than you do in a conventional general management role. So change can be exciting, it can be difficult, it can be challenging, it can be fun, it can be developmental, but it's difficult work. It's not a typical standard 9-to-5 job. This isn't therefore a role for every manager at every point in their career. It's useful to be clear if it's the right task for you to take on, that particular role, given the potential developmental aspect, but also the challenges and the demands it will make on your time and energy. We're dealing with multifaceted change, and part of the task is about keeping all those balls in the air. On some change management courses, I've actually seen someone brought in to teach the group juggling to reinforce the point that it's necessary to keep all those balls in the air at the same time. Start dropping the balls and the change agenda starts to fail.